Hey everybody, welcome to the Sort of Okay show about horses with Buck and Kyle. And once again, I actually have a co-host, so we're very excited about that.
Hi guys.
Buck, Kyle, and Marshmallow fighting. What's that one's name, Buck?
This one is called Tiger. This is Aubrey's little toy. So Tiger is in here today.
That's not even original. What the hell?
Dude.
You call every horse in the barn, this is horse?
Yep. Bay horse, gray horse, bad horse, worse horse.
I'm going to poke you in the ear with my unicorn.
Right. This one, he'll eat. This one will bite your head off, so it doesn't matter. Tiger is pretty tough.
Okay, so I think that's enough of playing around nonsense. I have some really disappointing news for everybody out there on the Fantasy Equestrian League. Apparently, one of you's leading, which is really exciting. But unfortunately, Buck has me beat right now. He's in second and I'm in third, which is amazing that we actually did that well. And remember, this combines with your scores from Burley. So we still have picks for Burley, and maybe I can come back up and win that mini iPad with the signed cover from Michael Jung. And then I guess they're giving away another one for Poe and Burley. So there's two of them. And apparently this Michael Jung character, I'm going to predict this on this show, and you hear first. I think he's got his future in this sport. What do you think?
Well, I thought you were going to take my prediction, which is he was going to win the Grand Slam again next year. And so I'm already saying that. And so that is going to be a year's worth of the pink hat cover for you.
If you pull that off, I will wear it all year long. I promise you. So 1 point separates myself and Buck in this thing. So I'm going to take him at Burley. He's going to lose again, and he'll be shamed and crying like usual. And that's why he doesn't show up on the show. So today in the team competition at the Olympics, unbelievable performances, really exciting. I think it was the best Olympic Games I think it's the best one I've ever watched. As far as the back and forth, New Zealand unfortunately moved back to fourth after Mark Todd had 4 rails in the show jumping, which I think everybody was shocked by, and took them right out of medal placing by 3 points. I'm sure nobody's more upset about that than Mark is himself. And I mean, he went into that show jumping round. I tweeted, "Here we go." I was so pulling for him to win a medal. I wanted him or William to win the whole thing, to be quite honest. And when William had the top, I was like, this is it. He's going to go in there, and this is going to be awesome. And then it just sort of all fell apart in that first round.
Yeah, it's a tough sport. It's a humbling sport, isn't it? And it's one day you're on top of the world, and the next day you feel like you want to jump off a bridge. And poor Mark. He said, hopefully that's not the the end of the road for him. Hopefully, he comes back and keeps on doing what he does best and allows us to all watch and look up to him. And, maybe he'll have that one more chance in Tokyo. But for me, obviously having Philip win a medal, an individual medal, is a big deal. With the story with Bruce Dutch as well and the friendship there, it's, somebody was looking over him because I don't think I've ever seen that horse jump so well or Philip ride that well in the show jumping in my life. And, he's won everything there is to win, and he's a legend in this game. But for him to put the exclamation point this weekend is well deserved. And, I think everybody is very happy, and I'm proud of Philip.
Absolutely. Now, it's a good thing we're talking about the team competition at the moment. So you've gone already into the individual part where we were going to come back to. Yep. In Philip's round, it was incredible. I think that's the first clear round the horse jumped at the level. And then the second round, he only had the 1 rail. In the first round, the chain came off of his curb and was slinging around for at least half of the course, and the horse never got really distracted by it or anything. It was an incredible performance, and I was thrilled for him to get up on the podium. So now we're going to go back to the team competition, which is what we're supposed to be handling in this segment. Please try to stay on track. Maybe my unicorn could give you a smack upside the head. So Australia had it was really exciting in there. The Australians were jumping really well. Germany had incredible rounds. They did a great job to bring themselves up to silver because it was, they won that silver in that show jumping. Didn't put a rail on their performance. And then the French guys, there was one, the one that had two rails, and the other ones rode, and even he rode great. The horse jumped well. It just wasn't quite good enough. And then the other two were incredible to move them up to first from second. Individually, the Brazilians obviously had a bit of a rough go there with Hoy getting tossed over the horse's head. They didn't need his score for anything, but it was, I think you called that in one of the earlier episodes, right?
I did. Yes.
You knew that?
I knew that was going to happen. I feel terrible for Hoy because, he rode great yesterday, and he did a great dressage, and, nobody likes to see anybody on the ground at any point, but certainly in the show jumping, it's very disappointing. And, certainly nobody's been on the ground more than me in the show jumping. So I commiserate with him and feel bad for him.
Yeah. Well, and the Brits went in the show jumping as well. And this was sort of as the team, I mean, they were out of it, but they didn't put a rail on their team performance either. And so they legitimately, yesterday obviously was the big failing for them. And you just you think of Great Britain as being such a strong cross-country team. It's amazing how that was where they let it go. Because, and then Hoy, when he fell off there, I don't know if you saw that, but he got up and put the rail back up on the show jump, and apparently did the same thing at Rolex a couple of years ago.
Well, I guess he has a little bit too much practice. I don't know. But it's interesting looking at these scores, right? You look at France and Germany, they had 3 clear cross countries in their score, right? Obviously, France wins the gold, Australia wins the bronze. New Zealand had 3 clear cross countries to go on their score sheet. They get nothing. Germany has only 1 clear cross country and wins the silver. So it was it was obviously a hard, tough cross country day, but looking back on it, you can't necessarily say that the cross country probably won it for the French, but with the Germans being second, you could make an argument that it wasn't a cross country show. And, it was a nail biting final today. And, the French were unbelievable in all 3 phases. They weren't, amazing in anything, but they were just unbelievable the whole way, and were very steady and deserved to win. The Germans, with just a little bit of luck here or there, could have run away with this thing by a mile, with Sandra and Ingrid having 2 sort of bummer deals. But, thankfully that did happen, because those of us spectators really enjoyed the competition in the close finale. And, Australia, who looked terrific yesterday, terrific in the dressage, it sort of came undone a bit for them today, which, when you go in as a leader and you come out with anything other than the win, it's always disappointing. And if you come in, anywhere but leading and you end up winning, it's always very exciting. But they would have felt that they've lost a lot rather than that they earned the bronze medal, which is a bummer for them, because they had a great weekend. And, and then obviously the biggest disappointment or the saddest team tonight will be New Zealand, and in particular poor Mark Todd, who's certainly got nothing to be ashamed of, and he's won 2 Olympic gold medals himself. He basically brought New Zealand eventing on the stage, and it almost feels like it's not fair, but life's not always fair. So great sport, great, and great coverage. When you say this is the most exciting Olympics that I've seen. Well, I think it's because it's probably the first one we've seen. You know, there's so much technology now that we can watch the live feed and we can see it all as it happens. And normally, certainly when my dad was going and I was a kid looking back, you would only kind of hear about things. You see little clips on the show, the Americans doing something or somebody doing something crazy. But to be able to watch the show, the whole event in its entirety was awesome and hopefully good for the sport.
Yeah, no, and I think you hit it right on the head. Is now it is possible to watch the sport through the 3 days, pick any point of it up, and then it made it really, I mean, the way that it went today, I don't care. You don't even need to know anything about the sport to watch that and see the shifting and get excited for what was going on, and then also feel it for the people that things fell apart on. I do think the course designer did a great job in the show jumping as well, as far as giving 2 different rounds. That first round was much longer, hard to make the time, had people kind of stepping along and having the rails might not have the right ride to some of the jumps because of the pace. And then the second one, he gave less jumps and a much more open track. The time was easy, so you saw a completely different shape on the horses in the second round than in the first round. Partly, I'm sure, because of the warm-up change, and partly because of the type of course that he put there. I think it allowed the horses to finish feeling really, really good about what they were doing. And I think that was absolutely brilliant as a course designer.
Awesome.
All right, so yeah, sorry, man. So we're going to take a short break and pull up the individual standings so that I actually might get something right here. Look like a complete buffoon, because obviously my NBC job's going to be out of the. They'll have better coverage people for me to give me interesting things to say, like this horse is big, so it will be able to jump the fences easier.
Exactly, and you feed them so they will feel like they're happy for you or something.
Exactly. Okay. All right. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll see you right back here. All right. Hey, everybody. We're back on the Sort of Okay show about horses. Hopefully in the second half, I will do a much better job than I did in the first half, because I actually made Buck look good, which is a terrible thing to have. As I said, I felt like the show jumping round was definitely, the 2 rounds were very different courses. And so for the individual, it made it truly, the riders that were good in the show jumping, that were truly good, could ride both courses and got the results out of it. I was thrilled to witness that, to see the different styles of technique of how they're going to ride the 2 courses.
It's amazing here too how many people came so close to winning, maybe even individual gold, with William jumping 2 clean rounds, Sandra jumping 2 clean rounds. They were talking about 1 fence off of winning the whole darn thing.
Yeah, and that was, William rode beautiful, like absolutely beautiful. The first round was unbelievable. The second one, I mean, it's just, he's a master to watch, and it was a privilege to see the horse. But all I could think as he finished that second round was he could have won the whole thing. And I was pulling for him after his rough go last year. Sandra's rounds again, equally, that horse, oh my God, it just oozes quality. I mean, every time you see it, you just want to pack it up and take it home.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, and Williams was, the Williams refusal yesterday was a bit of a bummer, and Sandra's was more of a a bigger mistake, and really had no chance. But with all Williams come through and all that he's done for the sport, it would have been great for him to win that individual medal, but maybe there's next time.
Yeah. All right, then, so we're going to the top 10, and then number 10, we have Rebecca Howard on Riddle Master from Canada. I was thrilled to see her there. That's the first top 10 Canadian placing at the Olympics that we could find in our in our research. If someone has something different on, maybe, before the internet came along strongly. But it was a great performance. She rode really well. The first round was beautiful. Second round, she had the one rail, but just really classy. It was great to see. Rebecca is a really, really good rider, and it was really lovely to watch her go. I will say that through the three Canadians, they all rode great show jumping rounds. Jessie went in there and really went after it in hers and did a great job in a totally different fashion than Colleen did, who did a beautiful job in her round. So she should be thrilled with how the weekend ended up. And Rebecca obviously spearheading the whole thing there.
I think what a performance from Rebecca. I first want to admit that I thought she was in trouble when I saw her stop at Barbary, and I think I said it on the show. That looked real to me, and she did an unbelievable job, obviously getting the horse prepared and ready. And as Graham said about what Dad used to say, when you go to a prep event and it goes wrong, well, at least that happened there. And so she was able to go back and put it together and fix it a little bit like Boyd did. And, huge credit to her. She's a great girl, great rider, great person. Biggest thing is she's, she would have been there cheering on everybody else, I'm sure, at the end of it, congratulating everybody, all class, and couldn't be happier for her. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So then we've got Jonty Evans. He was great. The lovely horse, absolutely jumps fantastic. It looked great yesterday. It looked great in dressage. And he rode two beautiful rounds to end up in 9th place. And, I don't think there's too many people that were more thrilled with how their weekend went than he was. And it showed in every pore. He just looked so pleased with everything. It was great.
And Jonty's such an ambassador for our sport. He does, great interviews. He's very enthusiastic about the sport. You can see the love he has for the sport on his face as he's going around the cross country. What an unbelievable dressage score he got out of that horse. And again, in the same feeling as Rebecca, just a really good person. And, it's great to see good things happen to good people.
Yeah. Alex from China, Hao Tan, unbelievable ride, really lovely horse. He had a rail in each round, which was unfortunate because it was one of those rounds. Both of them were a bit like you watched it and it had a rail and it was just obviously a rail is one away from clear, but he could have probably redone both those and been clear both times, but he's got to be thrilled. The top 8 placing for China, that's huge. And he's been knocking on that door for a while. And I think looking at this horse and knowing some of the other ones that he's got in his string, that they're going to be improving upon this for the Worlds and the next Olympics. So it is really fantastic.
That horse is quite young. And Alex is, somebody in our sport that from a marketing standpoint, he is a big deal for eventing worldwide. And because of all the companies and the sponsorship implications that come along with China. And so I think it's obviously great for Alex himself, who's a beautiful rider. It's an unbelievably nice horse. But for the sport as a whole, I think it's great to have China up there, and we're not far away from seeing an individual medal for China, but all the things that go with it can be great for our sport. So huge congratulations to Alex, and it could be great for our sport.
Well, and I think the big thing there is, and it's a little bit like the teams with Brazil doing well and moving to where it's becoming competitive. This is a global community now. We cover everywhere. The show jumping, the dressage, and the event are truly becoming an international group rather than just what it used to be, where it'd be very much isolated to Europe and the States. So it is, but again, he's done a great job. He did his first Olympics at 18 years old, and so here he is back 8 years later, and he put in a real class performance. I'm thrilled for him. A really nice guy. and I think a very good, again, another very good ambassador for the sport. Which brings us to Mark Todd, who, I mean, he had the rails in the first round, which were just killer. It was a very different round, and the horse that came into the second round, to me, was a completely different horse than what showed up in the first one. It had shape, it had a bascule. In the first round, it just kept dropping. It threw its back a little bit, and I felt bad for him because he, again, you can't fault anything that he's doing. The horse just wasn't jumping well enough.
Yeah, I think it can, it's certainly a horse that can get a little bit lit up and a little bit buzzed up, and it sounds like that's what happened in the first round. And it's too bad and disappointing. And I'd say Clark Johnson, he had a great clear in the first round, and then I would say he was probably fairly disappointed to have 2 down in the show jumping, because I know that's a very good show jumping horse. He's a beautiful rider, and it just wasn't his day. It wasn't meant to be.
No, and I will say, of all of them, that was the one horse that came into the second round of the ones at the top that looked like it had actually not. It wasn't yet. The other ones all got better, and they all looked better, and they looked bright, and this one just looked like it had sort of done its round, and it was like, what? Why are we back in here? And I was really disappointed for him, because he wrote a good round. It just didn't happen. And then Chris Burton obviously did what he could do right now for that horse. I think at 9 years old, it just went into the ring both times, and still isn't quite strong enough. It jumped really up over one and wasn't able to get out over the back rail. And I just think that it would be, there's no doubt that strength and a little more time is going to make this horse where we're all just sick through every single phase watching it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful horse. Chris is a beautiful rider, and 9 years old, has done one CCI 3-star. To come 5th in the Olympic Games is not too shabby. And of course, he'll probably be a bit bummed because he went into today thinking he could win a gold medal and came away with nothing. But he didn't really come away with nothing. He came away with a better, more experienced 9-year-old horse that was 5th in the Olympics that, in theory, could have 2 more Olympics in him.
And the next one, I think that it's going to be it's going to be just impossible to get near it, because there's things he's going to clean up, and it's already in 5th. How can it probably is one that can knock off another huge group of points, because it's just that much of a good horse, and he is such a good rider. But then, and I will say this horse, Sam Griffin's horse, when it won Badminton, I didn't really love it. It worked through that mud. It was incredible. It showed what grit and tenacity is. I love mares, so I was really, excited to see it go. But it didn't. It impressed me with its result and its heart at Badminton. Today and this weekend impressed me with its class. I didn't think it was as classy as it actually was. And I mean, look, slings and arrows, sometimes you misread one. Oh my God, it jumped that second round. It looked like an eck horse. He rode beautifully. Back end was incredible. Like, his back was so loose through the air that it looked like it hadn't done anything yesterday. It was magnificent to watch.
Yeah, it's I would have the same opinion of the horse. When it won Badminton, you think, oh well, it just slogged through that mud. And I think I said that in the preview of this Olympics, that maybe this wasn't its format and blah blah blah. Maybe it wasn't going to be quick enough. But Sam is such a cool guy. He's such a good rider. He fits the horse perfectly. And another one that doesn't do any of the sort of ups and downs. It just quietly just keeps getting better. It does a really steady 70% dressage test, does a nice steady clear cross country, and 2 clear show jumping rounds is unbelievable. And he did everything he could to get himself a medal. And obviously that's sort of the 2 worst places to be in the Olympics are 4th and 2nd. But nearly got up to that podium finish, but what a great result, and what a career that horse has already had, and continues on, and will I kind of see it being that horse all the time. It's always going to be a top 10, and that's a fun horse. And then if you can be in the top 10, well, then every once in a while you're going to jump up there and win. And he's done that time and time again, and so cool to see.
Yeah, I agree. And then, I mean, Philip, what a fantastic performance. Again, such a clutch rider. I mean, I would never bet against him, but I wouldn't have bet that he would end up there. I'm just ecstatic that he got his individual medal. I mean, it's a little bit like when some of these riders are in there and you're pulling for him. Like I was pulling for William, I was pulling for Mark. Philip's one of those guys. It's just everything that he gets, he deserves 10 times over. I feel, as a rider, as a worker, as a competitor, and everything. He might not say a lot, but he certainly says it where he needs to.
And it's funny how things work out the way they do. I haven't actually talked to Philip about this, but I know this Mighty Nice is one of his favorite horses, and obviously he's disappointed about the one horse getting injured. But he looked at the competition. This was the right horse for this competition, and I don't think he would have had the same result with the other horse. I think he would have had a good result, don't get me wrong. But I think, the upside of Mighty Nice is better than Cubalon. And, Cubalon was going to be maybe the more consistent one, but it wasn't going to get a 43 in the dressage, and it probably wasn't going to get around with three time faults. So it's exciting for Philip. It's exciting for all the people that came together to keep Mighty Nice for Philip. And what a great story. And Emma, how hard she works, and that whole program. It's great. And look, for the Americans to, the last two major championships, to not finish teams, to at least have something to kind of hold on to is great for us. And Philip was amazing, and he's been trying and trying and trying. And one thing about Philip is he never gives up. And that individual medal was so elusive for him for so long, and so happy for him to accomplish a goal that I know has been a lifelong goal for him.
Yeah, I mean, it is a great performance, and it's great for the States. He did jump 2 very good rounds. He had 1 rail in the second round, but he did everything he could to make it work. He jumped around the first round with a time penalty, but it was very hard to make time, and I think he did everything to keep the horse up over top of the fences, and he's so good at that. Congratulations. It's great. Then we got Nicholas Astor, who, I felt bad for him because he went into that second round, and I'll be honest with you, in the first round it jumped well, I thought, but in the second round it didn't jump like, let's say, as cleanly as it might, but it was obviously clean over the rails. And the second round it came in and it really over tried, and ended up having the rail because of that came down on the back rail because it tried so hard to get over top of the jump, and then it took a little bit too much time in the air and had the couple time penalties, which in the end kept him in second. But it took a little bit of the pressure off of Michael. And that Michael would have folded under pressure. I mean, there's no doubt a little bit more on there, and he wouldn't have been able to pull it off.
Yeah, he's not very good with pressure. He doesn't expect to win when he goes there. So I'm sure he was surprised. So, yeah, he definitely needed all that 7.1 points in hand to sure he could do that. It's interesting that, obviously Nikolai brought home the clear in the first round, which clinched the gold medal for them. And, you just wonder, there's such excitement when you win a team medal, especially team gold, and especially in such a nail-biting fashion. And obviously he clinched it. Do you come back and are you as up as you were in the morning? You're so excited and you win that gold medal. It's it was. I remember in the Pan Ams and then the same thing. You won that team medal and you're so excited, and the team is so excited, and then you got to go back a few hours later and jump another clear round for the individual, where the individual doesn't feel nearly as important as the team at the time. And just wonder if those 6 faults weren't maybe a little bit of whatever. I want a gold medal.
Yeah, I don't know. It looked like the horse, like the way the horse jumped, it was going to be hard for him to get everything done. I don't know what happened, like whether maybe they backed off the warm up or maybe they upped the warm up, but it was a little unfortunate for him. It wouldn't have changed anything for him. And as I keep getting texts on my phone, apparently it's Astor Nicholas. I read it wrong, and then you followed my lead. Good job. So his first name's Astor. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong with my French. But that leaves us the one who finished on their dressage score, and oddly enough, he won the competition.
Surprising. He's there's only been one person in the 2 short format Olympic Games to ever finish on their dressage score, and only one person. He's just done it twice, which is incredible. He won on what did he win on this year? A 40.9. In London, he won on a 40.3. Look, it's look, he's obviously a genius rider. We get that, but the partnership he has with that horse is second to none. And they work as one, they think as one, and I think he feeds his horse a lot, so they have a good communication. Yeah.
But okay, so you've actually interesting that point of there's only been 2 since the short format started who finished on the dressage score that won. Is that correct? Yeah.
That's only happened twice, and he's done it both times. Nobody else has ever done it.
But when everybody always talks about the short format and how it's so much easier than the long format, and one of the things they always say is that it's become a dressage competition. And that pretty much proves the rule of that it's not the case at all. It's much, the challenge is in the jumping part of it. Otherwise, we'd have more of that scenario.
Well, it's probably those people that's saying that it's going to be a dressage competition. Probably like the same people that said the Olympics were going to be a 2-star. I mean, I don't know who those people were. I'm going to look around and see, see who they were, and. Probably we shouldn't listen to those people because they obviously don't know what they're talking about.
No, but they are ahead of their friends in the Fantasy Equestrian League competition, but not ahead of the fans. So looks like I'll do the next one and see who's going to pull that off.
And I'm going to go on the record right now, and Burley is not going to be a 2-star. Okay?
No. Okay. So I have a question. And I'm just you've seen enough, the horses. I know pretty much which one you're going to pick, I think. What horse would you take if you could take one home from the Olympics? Which one would you pick of what you saw?
I would pick Upgun Lubo. I mean, I take a few years off his passport, but that's the horse that, to me, looks like, it just does it for fun.
Yeah.
And, is that who you thought I was going to pick? Of course, you're going to say yes because you already know the answer.
No, I didn't know I didn't know who you were going to pick. I thought you were going to pick actually. Oh God, sorry, space in there because I've got my list here. It doesn't really matter what I thought of your pick. I'm going to go with Euro Prince. I would, if that horse is missing in Ireland sometime when I've come through, I'll have put it in my luggage and brought it home. It show jumped great today. She rode beautifully, and I will say this: watching the competition. The Irish are going to be unbelievably hard to beat, I think, in the next 10 years. If they keep this cycle of horses going and these riders going. They rode beautifully all weekend. I did say she gave up 2 stops on cross country yesterday, but that horse is unbelievable. She rode it beautifully today in the show jumping. I would take that home. I think it'd be a joy to ride. And there are flashier ones, but I just can't believe what a nice horse that was. So I just wanted to ask that because I was curious what you thought, because it is always difficult to, you come out of these and you remember so many little snippets. But that was one horse through every phase that I was like, I'd like to sit on that. I thought it looked great. We do have
on the flip side. Who's the horse that you think? Oh, no way would I ever have it go on that one. Got any of those in there that I could never ride?
That seems like a terrible question, but I got to say, you know what? Hoy's horse. There's nothing worse, especially give me a horse like that. I'm going to ride it like a truck driver. It wouldn't stop with me, but it'd be running through every damn jump probably. He does a much better job. I cannot stand getting to the jump and feeling them go all of a sudden completely blank underneath you. What about you?
Yeah, that one wouldn't really interest me. I think the world of Jesse Phoenix. I got way too many of those horses in the barn that just aren't quite from all the horses that I saw at the Olympic Games. You thought, man, she really had to pick that thing up and throw it over the jumps to get it around, and she did an awesome job. And it's all credit to her and to their relationship. Like that she's had the horse for a long time. It knows her, she knows it, and but it looks like the kind of horse that you've got to know, and it's got to know you, and they seem to work it out. But it doesn't look. I don't think I could probably ride one side of it.
And I'm gonna agree with you, is that it wouldn't be my pick. I like horses with too much stride because I pull too much.
You could probably feet on the ground anyway.
But I have to say that, first of all, it looked really good in Show Jump Day. It doesn't have the most scope. It doesn't have the most step. I didn't like it when it was a 2-star horse. I didn't love it when it was a 3-star horse. I don't love it today, but I will say the heart that beats in that horse's chest is absolutely as good as it needs to be, because it looks through the bridle like, do I need to jump? That Jessie does a great job encouraging and keeping it going, but she doesn't have to make it do the stuff, I don't think. I think the horse is, I remember when it was ridden by the previous rider, and I kind of was like, well, it's just a bit of a pony. It doesn't have enough step. It's not good enough. And I have to say, I couldn't be more wrong, not because it's gone on and been the greatest success, but because it has been successful. The owners have supported this whole way. And I actually really admire it, because you see so many horses like Hoy's horse. If Hoy's horse had that horse's heart, it would be winning medals. But that mare goes out there, it might be a little bit under the scope, and it goes and it tries its ass off to do the job. And I actually really admire it through this process, far more respect for it than I ever expected I'd have. So it's funny, I kind of feel both ways.
I would, yeah, that's sort of par for the course for you, but I think I put a little bit more on how good Jesse was to coax all that out of there. The other horse that I have to say, looking at the Yoshi from Japan, the Duke of Gavin, you got to admit that was pretty cool yesterday. I mean, it looked like it was going to die at the first 2 fences, and then it went all the straight ways. And, it was awesome. I mean, I don't know if I could ride it, but, like, it looked awesome. And, that was cool to see. And so, anyway, just a honorable mention will go with that one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So we did have a question from the fan base asking what the process is after a 4-star, what you do as far as how long the holiday is and what you do to bring them back. And I think actually that's probably something we should address on another show, because I think we probably have very different views on it, and that it probably is a conversation that will go on quite a while. And I think in that there's not one right way. There are many wrong ways, but there's multiple ways to do it that are successful.
Yeah, no question. There's so much that goes into it than just saying this is what you do all the time. And I think age comes into it. Previous injuries, if they have any injuries, how easy was the competition on them? With and so. I think that's probably
So yeah, let's do that on a show. We'll do like spend sort of 8 minutes discussing that, and then you can tell me how wrong I am because you know so much more than I do.
So that'll be 7 minutes and 50 seconds of you talking, and 10 seconds of me going, okay, alarm clock, please.
I don't know why I actually invite you back on this show. Oh, that's right. You're part of the show. That sucks. Why didn't I partner up with someone better? Did the fans recommend better people for me to be partnered up with?
You like my hat? It doesn't even fit my head. After being around you, I have a really big head now.
You look like you might be in a Dr. Seuss book.
This is Art Tunney's hat. Art is 13 months old. So there you go.
All right, let's wrap this up. Thank you all for joining us. Great Olympics. I'm so happy to have actually been forced to watch it so I could sit through these conversations on the show, and made me appreciate a lot more actually what we do as a sport. It's inspirational.
It was great watching and great riding and some great horses, and thankfully everybody is returning healthy, happy, and hopefully without Zika.
Yeah. Don't look at my head go from here to there. Look, I got Zika! And now my Zika's cured. And I've got Zika again. All right, you guys. Don't shrink your heads out there. Have a good week.
Bye, guys.